Welcome to Visceral Review. Here I review movies based on how it made me feel. There are plenty of other review channels where they deconstruct movies explaining the main theme and interesting details. I love that very much. However, what I like to do is immerse myself fully into the movie and share my thoughts on the visceral feeling it gave me. So without any further ado, let's get into the review. And there will be spoilers. Episode 4 is out, and I feel much better. We can finally see where the extra year they took to produce Season 8 has gone into. Now that the Night's King's narrative is finished, it's more about the juicy politics. We had a chance to focus more on the characters and what they are going through. This makes it feel like our characters are real again. I guess the problem with the last episode was that maybe they focused too much on the war and the plot. Therefore, the characters felt flat, and we didn't feel any connection and cared that deeply about them. I'm sure a lot of you have noticed this before. Sometimes you just don't care about the characters in some movies. There'll be a bunch of tragic things going on, and the movie will be revolving around those characters and putting a sad soundtrack and all. But still, you just don't really care about it. This is the biggest sign that the movie makers are doing something wrong about character development. That was the problem in the last episode. However, in this episode, we get to see the aftermath of the war. The opening and burning of the dead was touching. The after party captured the relief and the awkward atmosphere. They were glad they stopped the end of the world, but still couldn't get over the losses they have taken, and frankly couldn't believe what just happened. Danny's arc and development was nicely done in this episode. Right from the beginning, we see her loss of a dear friend. Jorah truly loved her, dedicated his life to her. After a lifetime of failures and roaming without a purpose, he found her and truly found his purpose in life. At the end, he died protecting her, and I think he's one of the rare characters in this cruel world of Game of Thrones who was at peace when he died. It was hard for him to accept that Dany could not love him back, but near the end, I think he understood that we cannot force love. Daenerys herself even feels somewhat guilty that she could not love him back the way he did. But in a different way, Jorah was like a family to her. He has been there for her through all of it. And now, after losing him, she feels out of place in this foreign land. She's still not very welcome with some of the folks there. Sansa is not accepting her. She has to deal with this new fact that Jon is a Targaryen. He's not doing this on purpose. He does love her, but this huge obstacle is making things very hard for her. I think she's not very sure what she is doing, because the whole reason she postponed her conquest and came to the north is only because of Jon. Because she truly fell in love with him, and now he is having a hard time deciding what to do, divided between his family and love. It is nor Daenerys' fault, nor Jon's. If you must pick someone to blame, the cruel fate that brought this upon them is to blame, I guess. Rhaegal dying was very sudden. It was brutal, and the sudden loss was a big blow to Daenerys. She was already walking the line between going full out genocidal on King's Landing, and when you actually think everything through, from her perspective, it doesn't seem so crazy, doesn't it? I generally try to overlook some stupid stuff that happens just for the sake of plot, but this one was hard to get over. I mean, seriously, they knew about the weapon from last time Daenerys fought the Lannister army, so getting close, they should be extra careful about it since Rhaegal was already quite injured from the previous fight. But when we factor in that Euron is a very skilled pirate that almost has no equal on sea, this kind of makes sense. The show cuts quickly the travels to save time, but in reality sailing would take quite some time, and of course Cersei and Euron would know they are coming their way, so it makes sense that they would come with this ambush. so I'm not going to nitpick on this too much. Now, Brienne finally opening her heart was a great moment for me, I think. I don't know if a lot of people shared the same view as I am, but when you think about it, Brienne was always on guard. She never let a sliver of weakness pass through her character because of all the adversity she had to deal with throughout her life. To prove she's a great warrior and a knight, she had to be extra honorable, extra strong, and extra without weakness. But of course, she is still a person. Every person needs love, and they are vulnerable on the inside. This was the first time we actually see her open up and let someone into her heart and show her vulnerability. I think it was a very human moment and a great development to this character. Death of Missandei was a hard hit for me. By no means I was surprised by it, of course. The moment I saw her captured, I knew she was gonna die. It was a heavy hit because she was one of the innocent and faithful characters. It's always hard to swallow when the most innocent of people have to suffer the wrath of the monsters. And her last word confused me for a second, but then I realized she was saying so much with it. She's saying that her will not bend in the face of her queen's enemy. She's saying that these people are beyond reasoning and that Dany should burn them to the ground. Dany is being pushed to her last straw, with Sansa being a vindictive blabbermouth. The secret that was kept for 2 decades is out in the open. With these developments, the Dragon Queen is about to be consumed by rage. She might end up doing things that she will regret later on. In any case, major stuff is about to go down next.